Welcome, and thank you for your interest on the Facemocap plugin. In this video I'm going to cover how to set up a new metahuman with the Facemocap plugin and Faceware Studio. So let's begin. So the first step will be to create a new metahuman using the online metahuman creator. And when you are done, just open the Quixel Bridge application on your computer so we can download the newly created metahuman into our computer. We also want to go to the marketplace and look for the Facemocap plugin page so we can download the metahuman example project. On the project files, on the folder content, metahumans, you can see we already have common and Vivian. Vivian is the metahuman that is already in their project. But we want to add the new metahuman we created. For that we use the Quixel app to find the files and then move those files to the project files. Make sure that you skip these files so you don't overwrite the Facemocap code. Make sure you have the Facemocap plugin installed on the engine. If it is not, just install it from here. And then we can just open the example project. Let's set up the new metahuman with the Facemocap plugin. So let's open the Vivian blueprint as a reference. Now we need to add that Facemocap component, like that. This component is responsible to connect to Faceware Studio. And now we need to copy the blueprint code from the Vivian blueprint into the new metahuman blueprint. Let's start with this small block of code and copy it here. And it's going to be connected on the begin play node. And we make sure the variable is created. This variable is a reference to the animation blueprint specifically for the face. Now let's copy the code from the tick event. So all this blue block, we just select it and copy. And then on the new metahuman blueprint, we paste it. And make sure the execution line is connected. That's pretty much everything we have to do to set up the blueprint. Now we just make sure the new metahuman is present on our viewport. So let's close this and add it to the viewport. We can start Faceware Studio. I'm using a video as the input media. And I have to calibrate a neutral pose. So let's do that. And after that, I have to go to a streaming panel and make sure we are using the AeroKit schema and stream to the client. So let's enable, and that's it. Now let's run the game. Now the data is coming into Unreal Engine live. Two remaining steps you might want to do is one, to tune in the modifier so you can have a better tracking, and the second one is to set up the UI of the example project to work with the new Metahuman blueprint. Let's do the last one first. For that we open the level blueprint and we have to replace this reference with the new blueprint on the viewport. So let's select it. We create a reference and let's connect it to the node. Search for Facemocap and connect the dot. Now the UI is set up and we can now modify the live values using the UI on the game. Let's try one example. Let's modify the AirKit you open and change the offset modifier. The offset basically says I want you to use this default value and add up anything that comes from Faceware Studio. Keep in mind, every change you do on this game UI is just temporary. It's just for live previewing blendshape values with modifiers. So you can play with it, and later in this video I'm going to show how to set persistent modifiers. Just one more example. Let's change the head left with a bit of offset so you can see how that affects the character. In 4.26 version I added a new feature to use the curve asset from Unreal Engine to use it as one of the modifiers for each of the blendshape values. So let's make an example here. First, filter for any AirKit blendshape, because we are using the AirKit schema from Faceware. And let's change the curve for the you open. We can actually go to the curve asset and modify the curve. As you can see, by default it's a easy in curve, but we can modify it as we wish. In this specific case, for the you open, the easy in curve was not a good choice. So let's find out a different shape for the curve. So let's try making a very sudden change. As you can see now, the movement is too abrupt. Let's just play a bit more with the curve so we can have a better effect for the jaw movement. Let's try something like this and let's preview it. So I think it's good enough, and you can actually create as many curve assets as you wish and use each of these curve assets on the Facemocap component. For example, you could use a curve for the brows, a curve for the mouth, a curve for the blinking of the eye, or the movement of the head. Is up to you. The curve asset might look scary at the beginning, but it's really intuitive to use. So just give it a try and play as much as you want. I will suggest to use the curve asset instead of the other modifiers on the Facemocap component, because it's a more visual representation of how the incoming data is going to behave. So that's about it. I hope I covered the basics of Facemocap plugin. And just a quick recap. You just have to download your Metahumans files, then download the example projects and copy the new Metahuman files into this new project. Then you have to open the project, open the Vivian blueprint, copy all the Facemocap codes from there into the new Metahuman blueprint. And that's all you need to do to connect to Faceware Studio from Unreal Engine.